So in the previous class, I think we saw about the Duncan-Sun chart Dewar model that assumes a synergistic relationship between ligand to metal pi sigma bonding and metal to ligand d pi pi star electron flow. So that was resulting in the lowering of the pi bond order, the coordinated olefin compared to the free olefin. So as a consequence, we saw that the coordinated olefinic acidic bond is lengthened. That is, the C double bond C or C triple bond C stretching frequency was reduced. So it was, I think I told you about the reduction of 1623, probably 1623 to 1623 centimeter minus 1 to 1526 centimeter minus 1. Reduction in stretching frequency was a result of, is a direct consequence of the donation of electrons into the pi star orbital, stretching frequency. So stretching frequency is a function of the bond length. So the longer the bond length you have, the lower is the stretching frequency. Shorter is the bond length, high stretching frequency is there. As you know, it is according to the vibrational spectroscopy rules. So in continuation with this, I am just going to disclose another molecule there. That is the complexation in symmetrical or olefinic acetic carbons is nearly equidistant from the metal. So here is a platinum complex in which you have got initially 4 chlorine atoms there, 1, 2 and 3. So one of the chlorine atom is reduced and it is brought near the double bonded compound like C double bond C. So the platinum is sending its bonding electrons into the pi orbitals there. So some of the electrons are donated. So these electrons are donated like from d to pi, and because pi is already filled, it will be from dxz to pi star orbital. Electronic transition are taking place, and in some cases it is found to rotate about the metal olefin bond as well. So why is rotation possible? Because we have seen cases where the dz square orbital is having a spherical or circular rotation around the z axis. So let me see if you have any picture there, and I'll just show you how this d orbitals are classified. You must have an idea of what a d orbital actually looks like, because unless you know about this, it will be very difficult to understand it. So here is the picture that I am just inserting. So you can see that it's fortunately we have got 3d orbitals, that is the those of the uh, higher transition series, and you can see that if you have x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, normally we put this as x, but here x is like this. So you can see that dx square minus y square is actually some kind of distribution of electron density along the x and z. dxy is along x and y, and x square minus y square is nothing but a kind of functional that we have to incorporate depending on the phase of the lobes. Phase of the lobes means, I told you what is one lobe is actually this one. Okay, we consider this as a particular lobe, right? So px and py lobe is there. So if both the lobes are in similar environment, in similar phase, we just put it as plus, and if they are in both different phase, we just put it as minus. So here is a picture of xz, yz and dxz. Now in most of the pi orbitals that are found, we have got a very good close relationship of z square orbital with that of pi, that is more symmetrical. I'm just trying to say, but here is the dz square orbital that you can see that it is assuming a shape like this. So it's a very good shape that you have to imagine, right? Z square minus y square. So it is in a particular plane. This is in a z plane where the facilitation of transfer of electrons to the pi star is very easier because they have got the same symmetry. So this is the ligand to metal sigma bond, which accounts for 75% of bonding between Zeiss salt. So another salt is there. So I'm just telling you I was telling you about this metal ethylene rotation bonds, and that is possible when you have some rotation around the d orbitals, which is essentially z square in nature. Okay, z square in nature. So then coming to this ligand to metal sigma bond, which accounts for 70% of the bonding reaction, bonding interaction in this salt, is nothing but KPtCl3C2H4 can occur with the CC bond is in the molecular plane or perpendicular to it. Let's say molecular plane, you have, if you have a square planar complex, this particular plane is called as a molecular plane. You have got 3 Cl atoms there initially, and platinum is at the center. Now what happens is this platinum is trying to bond with a CH2 double bond CH2. It doesn't go to any p orbital of the carbon atom. It directly goes to the pi star orbital of the ethylene atom. The reason is because of the same symmetry. That is what you have to say. And whether it is perpendicular or similar. Similarly, since out of the plane d pi pi star antibonding, back bonding can take place through overlap of a Z etc. The same interaction can take place between a metal DYZ and C double bond C pi. So it is telling you to look into the DXZ and DYZ orbital. So I have told you that DXZ and DYZ, DXZ and DYZ, DXZ here and DYZ is here, right? So I'm sorry, this is DXYZ, this is DXZ. So anyway, you can see that perpendicular, this is in plane, these two are in plane, and these two are perpendicular to it. And there is the passage of electrons from d pi to pi star. From here to pi star is taking place. So first orbital is dxz. So dxz to pi star is taking place, and dyz to pi star is also taking place. Dyz to pi star is also taking place. The electron transfer is taking place, and that is mentioned here. Okay, so this is actually dxz. Can you see this? Dxz. Okay, this is the orbital that I have put here. So it is being seen like this. Okay. Now these two are the pz orbital. Pz orbital or dxz orbital of the ethylene molecule. So this is a double bond atom. One lobe is either unhybridized and has not been involved in the bonding, but it has got electrons, so it is capable of giving an electron into this particular orbital or this, not this, this one, the d, this is the dxy, dxy. So some electrons are there, they are being donated into the empty p orbital. So rather than going to the p orbital, they go into the pi star orbital. As a result of this, there is a elongation of the bond lengths are affected. Bond lengths are affected. Okay. So likewise, you've got a similar dyz there. So dyz, you can see this one. This one is dyz. So actually, it is written in a reverse manner. But anyway, the way you view is this. So when you put dyz like this, you can see that the z orbital is parallel to it. Here it is dz is parallel to this dxz orbital. Because z is involved, here also z involved, there is no dxy orbital. Dxy orbital is not involved there because there is no z axis. Dyz, in dyz and dxz you have got z orbitals. Whether it is perpendicular like this, vertical like this, or perpendicular to pi. This one is perpendicular, parallel to PYZ. This one is perpendicular to PYZ. But in both cases, the Z orbital's donation to the electron is taking place. So as a result of that, you have to write there is a change in the bond order. Always try to calculate the bond order, which defines the bond length, number of electrons in the bonding orbital minus number of electrons in the anti-bonding orbital divided by 2. The more you have here, the negative is the value. The more electrons you have in the bonding orbital, the greater is the value. So if you have 2 here, it's a double bond. If you have 3 here, it's a triple bond. In between also you can get, if you have 2.5 bonds, the character between the triple bond and the double bond is located. So the Dewar-Duncan chart model is actually a representation of a synergic relation between ligand to metal pi sigma bonding, right? Ligand to metal, ligand to metal sigma to pi. Okay, electron transfer. Okay, so we'll stop with this and we'll go to the next session in which coordination and saturation is a concept that effectively results in tells you the maximum coordination number that a metal ion can adapt. So as far as we can see that normally we just see the coordination number as equal to 4 and equal to 6 equal to 4 when you have a square planar complex, 6 when you have an octahedral complex. Coordination saturation is essential for organometallic compounds to act as a catalyst. Coordination and saturation means the presence of vacant coordination site with the central metal atom. When saturation attains coordination, the coordination number of the central metal atom automatically varies. If there is a loss of electron accompanying this change, in coordination, the reaction is classified as oxidative addition. So this becomes very important for you. What is meant by oxidative addition? In the oxidative addition, there is a change in the coordination number of the central metal atom. With the loss of electron, you call it as the oxidation. So loss of electron is normally an oxidation. So here is an example of PtCl4 being written like this, Cl and Cl. So you can see that PtCl4 is 2 times, sorry, it is 2 minus, actually it is 2 minus, and you add 2 chlorine atoms there, so it becomes Pt2 is oxidized to Pt4. So Pt2 plus is getting oxidized into Pt4 plus. So here you are removing 2 electrons there, and that is called as the oxidative addition. It is called as the oxidative addition. So as a result of this, you get a Pt, Cl, 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 and Cl in the top and the bottom. So you get a PtCl6 in this compound, and that is it. So in the initial stage, the platinum is having a D8 case with a +2 charge, and then it becomes the same D8 with a P4. Okay, so here it is D8 and here it is D6. So this is called as the oxidative addition, and the coordination insertion is, you have to remember that also, the definition is the maximum coordination number that a metal ion can adapt is being given there. The reverse reaction in which the coordination number decreases while there is a gain in the electron is termed as, so this is gain, GAIN. The reverse reaction in which the coordination number decreases while this is there is a gain in electron is termed as the reductive elimination. So oxidative addition and reductive elimination. What is meant by oxidative addition? What is meant by reductive elimination? In this case, the the Pt4 plus getting reduced to Pt2 plus an addition of 2 electrons. So here is the gain. This gain is what we call it as the reductive elimination. So the wildest possibilities for the oxidation state lie with the square planar species with D8 configuration and sigma equal to 16. That is the number of electrons surrounding there. They are coordinatively unsaturated with only 16 electrons in the valence shell as against 18 electron pool. So this is the EAN role we have seen in the previous sessions. Effective atomic number around the central metal atom. It has to be 18, but here it is 16. Therefore, they eagerly get back the 2 electrons to attain the maximum stability. So they can become 5 coordinate through simple addition of a ligand and 6 coordinate through addition combined with oxidation. So remember this important point there. They can become, as talking about the square planar complex. The square planar complex, you just have like this. They can become a square planar complex with a kind of square pyramidal molecule or a complex with simple addition of a ligand. Here you're just adding a ligand like this. Okay, so you've got 4 Cl atoms there, 4 Cl atoms there, and now you get 5 Cl atoms here, 5 Cl atoms. So this is also possible. And the next stage, you get a 6 coordinated, okay, 6 coordinated atom. What is it? So it is an octahedral complex. So you get Cl, Cl, Cl. You get platinum at the center. Here also Cl. Here also Cl. Then this addition extra chlorine is added only uh, by the process of oxidation. By the process of oxidation. So here oxidation takes place, and then you get a 6 coordinated complex. 6 coordinated complex. So you are finally converting a square planar into octahedral geometry. That is by oxidative addition. So in either case, they become less electronic. That means the number of electrons surrounding the will be the effective atomic number. Okay. So here after this, this is very essential in the context that we are going to see certain catalyst reactions, particularly the Wilkinson's catalyst reaction, which is uh, in which you add some hydrogen atoms and there is a reductive elimination also. So in this context, the uh, coordination and saturation and Duncanson chart error model is also essential. So the next thing we are going to see is have a look at this particular thing called as the Tolman's loop. Tolman's loop is a symbolic representation. And suppose if you have a initial reaction rate like this, and you are adding some product, so you get some product like this, and with the elimination of certain things, so you just keep on. If it is a cyclic process, you just keep on mentioning them, and something is added, and something is removed. So that is called as the Tolman's loop. So in the next session, we will see the Tolman's loop and try to understand the catalytic process. Thank you for joining me.